regard. I can remember in about 2006 having the chance to read for the very first Family Guy video game. And I'm like, why the heck wouldn't they just have their own guys do it? I don't understand. And I was out of town when the audition came in from Audio Gods, so all that was really left for me to read for was Adam West. And like Cleveland had a brother at one time named Broderick, who was like a plastic surgeon. I'm very mysterious when I'm inside you, like the wind, you know. Get my buddies, like the fats my buddies, you know, behind enemy lines. Like I read for him, and I don't remember what the Adam West lines were, but that one was fun. Like, if I do this for you, do you promise to stop stealing my water? And then another company that I forgot I was even on their roster in like Ohio or something, they're like, hey, we have the contract for the Family Guy video game now. So I read for Stewie, Peter, Quagmire, and everybody, and I'm like, cool. Ooh, Brian. And didn't get it. And I think what happened was they were just trying to drive down the prices of Seth, both Seths, Patrick Warburton, and everybody. They did that again. They've done it like twice with Futurerama, which is insane to me because the only reason that show was coming back each time was because of the dedicated fanaticism. That they wouldn't accept any kind of replacements on that, but they kept trying to drive down Billy West and John DiMaggio's prices. So like having had that experience with the Family Guy video game, when the Futurama castings came in, I just left those on the table because I didn't really want to be part of that. Now the exception is this with the Rick and Morty stuff. It wasn't the first time I auditioned for characters in that universe, it actually wasn't for the show, it was for Multiverse. That audition came in and I called my agent and I said, Vanessa, why wouldn't like Justin not be doing his own characters, Rick, Morty, Mr. Poopybutthole? If this is like what happened a couple years back at Futurama, I don't want to be used as a bargaining chip. She's like, I don't know, kiddo, but please read for it. I'm like, okay. And then, later on we see what happened with Adult Swim parting ways with Justin Roiland, and more reasons for that keep coming out, unfortunately, which I hate to say because I was such a huge fan of the guy. But that is a different scenario because this wasn't a case of them trying to drive Justin his price down or anything like that. This was a case where, despite how much he contributed to this huge mega hit, they still felt that with all the factors at play, they were unfortunately better off moving forward without him than with him. And so my goal with that was much more pure intentions. Rather than like trying to put everybody out of a job, this was a case where somebody was out of a job, and now who's going to carry the torch? Who's going to try to keep things as consistent for the fans as possible? Which I'm very, very sensitive to. A big part of what got me into voice acting was when they switched the cast for Dragon Ball Z. I was a fan of the original cast in the first 53 episodes, Scott McNeil, Brian Drummond, Peter Kalamas, etc. And when they switched to the Texas in-house cast, the Chris Sabatts and Sean Schemmels, I was like, what the heck is this? So I know what it feels like to have something you love and the feeling of it kind of being taken away, and that's why, and I apologize that I'm going a little bit off topic here, but that's why I've tried as much as possible to it's very important for me to keep Mr. Poopybutthole as consistent as possible with what's been heard previously. Now that's tricky at times because Justin's gone on video saying he's been inconsistent with how he voiced that character. Sometimes it would sound more like Morty and sometimes it would sound more like Mr. Meeseeks, but we've spent a lot of hours trying to find the solid middle ground and so forth. So I hope I'm doing okay with that. But to summarize, yeah, unfortunately there are, in Genshin Impact, that's definitely been a thing where they started recasts, and I don't know if anybody heard about the situation with like Jacob Takanashi, Karina Bodiger, Kaylee Mills, and that whole exchange. Okay. Well, basically, Jacob is an actor who hadn't worked too much before, and that's not a knock on him, everybody starts somewhere. but he was brought in to replace somebody who was withholding their work. Genshin Impact was not officially part of the SAG-AFTRA strike, but kind of like how we talked about the developers joining with the actors strike, if they were ever going to get AI protections as well, now was the time to withhold work and hold out for those protections as well. And Jacob came in to replace somebody who was adamant about standing their ground and not going back into the booth. And then he goes online and says hey, I'm so proud to be part of the passing of the torch. And Kaylee Mills and Karina, I forget who Kaylee voices, but Karina Bodiger is Paimon. And they're this is not a passing of the torch. You're hurting our efforts to try and get protections for actors, including yourself, by taking this gig. And there was a subsection of Genshin Impact fans who just wanted their game back. They didn't like the idea of just reading the subtitles. They wanted English voices back in there. So you're bullying him, you're bullying him. He's in Japan, he doesn't know anything about the unions, he's from Houston or San Antonio, but he was definitely from Texas. It's insulting the guy's intelligence to assume that if he's pursuing this line of work, he wasn't reading the trades or anything, he was completely this innocent little snowflake, and that just wasn't the case. And now it's to the point where it's ironic because they come after Kaylee Mills all the time. She can't even say what a great day it is. Yeah, I bet it is, you fucking bully. They always, it's we the Genshin Impact community are against bullying, and to prove this, we're gonna form an angry mob. We're gonna dox your address. We're gonna insult you. We're gonna insult your family members. We're gonna wish death upon you. Because we don't like bullying, you see. Just the lack of self-awareness. Still think acting is cool. Any other questions? Yes.